Dylan Murray, and I'm racing in the IMSA WeatherTech Series and Carrera Cup Series for BGB Motorsports and Carrera Cup and Riley Motorsports and WeatherTech. We're doing the prototype LMP3 in the top series, and so it's been a blast this year. I mean, this is my first year running in the WeatherTech Series, so absolutely crazy.
How'd you get here? Like, how'd you get started in motorsports? I know your family is deep into motorsports, so that was a good start of it. So how'd you get to here?
Yeah, so my dad raced for a living for factory Porsche, BMW, and Lotus for a while, and so I've always kind of grown up at the racetrack, following in his footsteps. And I grew up. I did go-karts when I was 5, and then ever since then, like, my passion has only grown stronger ever since. And so it's just been one of those where it's like, the more I do it, the more I fall in love with it, and the more that I realize, like, it's engraved in my bones. It's not just in my blood. It's something that's just I couldn't imagine myself not doing.
So the road racing is probably pretty good in your blood because that's what your dad does, but you were doing some oval racing for a while, correct?
Yeah, so I started in, I did like Legends cars for a while, did oval Legends cars, and then I kind of went the NASCAR path for a little bit. Did, like, you know, late models and then NASCAR K&N, and it was a really fun experience. And then you get to drive a prototype, and it's a completely different world. You know, like the NASCAR, I feel like, has really good racing. You know, you can rub side by side with a lot of people, and then you come over to the sports car where you can't really do that so much because the bodywork's so fragile. But at the same time, the car's just got so much downforce over here. I'm very fortunate to have gotten the experience of both cars, and so yeah, it's absolutely a completely different world. But you know, racing is racing, and they have their benefits for sure.
So when you talk about the road racing, you're doing the Porsche and you're doing the LMP3. Talk about, you said there's like a little bit of similarities, but then talk about the differences between driving those two cars on the same weekend.
Yeah, so the Porsche Carrera Cup and the LMP3, the Ligier, they're both a sports car, and we both do kind of sort of long races in a way. But I mean, the difference between a GT car and a prototype is absolutely insane. I mean, it's literally like going from a lawnmower to your street car, in the sense of just the speed difference from a GT to a prototype. And you know, a Porsche is still a really fast freaking car, but then you get in the prototype and it's a whole different world, and how you feel the car too is a lot different. In the Porsche, what you're doing to feel the car is, because it's a little bit softer of a platform, you are feeling the car a little bit more on a 3-dimensional platform, because you can feel the car lean and like, okay, I know, like, I'm pulling this many G-forces, the car's tilting this much, maybe I need to make a correction, the rear steps out at the same time. But in the prototype, it's like a 2-dimensional world, and the car steps out only left and right. It doesn't have any lean to it at all. And so you have to kind of go in with a different mindset with each one. Whereas like the Porsche, like I said, you go in feeling the lean of the car, and you go into the prototype, there's no lean, and you're just feeling that side to side. So it's a big difference in mindset going into this.
So how do you adjust that mindset? You know, because your focus is key on a race weekend, and you got to switch from one different mindset to the other. How do you do that?
It's really tough. But what I do is I do like a lot of meditation when I'm at home. Like, that's kind of part of my training program, and I feel like that helps a lot, being able to switch mindset, because when you meditate, like, at first you don't really get the full benefit of it, and then you start to do it more and more, and you're able to get into that meditative mindset quicker and quicker. And I feel like that transitions a lot, going from mindset of a GT car to the mindset of a prototype, where you have to switch your mindset, go from one type of meditation to another type of meditation almost instantaneously sometimes when your practices are back to back. So yeah, there's definitely you have to go in, and sometimes, like, a lot of tracks, like, I remember I did this double duty a couple years ago, and my first time at Motorsport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I go out and we were doing practice in the prototype first, and then the GT car was afterwards. And in the prototype, going through turn 4 at Motorsport, it's downhill, really fast corner, prototype was flat out. Prototype's got a lot more power than the GT car as well, so I get in the GT car, having not been to Motorsport ever before, thinking, turn 4 is flat out in the prototype. I was going much faster in that thing. This thing is a little bit slower, so I'm gonna go flat out, no problem. First lap, I go flat out, I'm sideways all the way down the hill. And it didn't work. So it's like you have to really adjust your mindset to what works and what doesn't for each and every car. And like I said before, it's just really switching your mindset quickly and adapting to the car and how you feel it.
And then, so do you have a co-driver in each? You do have a co-driver in each car. So
just the prototype.
Just the prototype. Okay. So then you got to kind of figure out his world a little bit, right? And you got to share information basically.
Yeah, so having a co-driver in the car is really beneficial because sometimes like we'll have Jerome Bleekemolen is our main like co-driver when we do the endurance races, and what he does is like when he comes, a lot of times like we might run the same lap time, but he does it in a completely different way than I do. And so we're able to learn off of each other, like, oh, he might be half a tenth quicker in this corner, I may be half a tenth quicker in this corner, and then together that's a whole tenth of a second for a lap. So it's really beneficial to be able to learn from each other, and it's even better when you agree on setup, because a lot of times setup is like a personal driver preference of what the driver likes. I mean, there's multiple setups that can go equally as fast, but it comes down to driving style and driver preference. And it's so lucky to be able to be with a co-driver that we both share the same driver preference for setup as far as that goes, and everything like that.
Is there anything that you can share between the two different cars other than the track layout?
Yeah, the track layout's about it. I mean, especially somewhere like here, the prototype is set up so stiff. You go through, I mean, even just the front straight in the prototype, you feel like you're getting compression fractures in your spine. And it's just such a rough experience. And you get in the Porsche, a softer setup where you don't have all that, so you're not having to count on a bump being there that it's going to upset the car, whereas in the prototype you do. The track layout, yeah, it's the same, but is it really the same track? Not really, especially here. Yeah, like in the kink here, in the prototype we're flat out. Yeah. In the Porsche we're having to brake for the kink. So it's completely different mindset, completely different driving style going between those two.
So that's something really important to remember when you're in the Porsche then.
Yeah, don't go flat out through the kink. They could end up just a little bit nasty.
So like what's your goal going forward? Like where do you want to be? You know, what kind of car do you want to get to?
I want to put food on the table racing cars, but obviously like the faster that I can go, the more I like it. Yeah. I love driving fast, and ever since I've been opened up to the prototype world, it's really opened my eyes to what technology is today. And I mean, it's just, I love the sports car and the endurance racing world. Anything involving racing really is. I want to go over 200 miles an hour. I haven't done that yet. Haven't hit that.
Wow. So, so we're at Road America, and I saw on your Instagram that you wanted to go for the brats. Are you going for the single brat or the double brat?
I'm definitely going the double brat because I've got like a gluten intolerance. I've got a lactose intolerance. On top of that, it's processed meat, which I'm not used to. So I am definitely going on Sunday afternoon. You can count. If you guys want to meet up with me at some point during the weekend, right here at this concession stand, Sunday afternoon, I'm gonna be getting a double brat with extra cheese, lots of gluten in the bread, and then on the way home to the airport the next day, there's this cheese store on the way. They've got so much fresh Wisconsin cheese. I love it so much, but it just lights my stomach up. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Ride home.
Yeah.
So are there other tracks that have the same type of thing? Like, is there some specialty things at the other tracks you go to?
There's some tracks, but I would say this is really the main one that like I really look forward to the food here, because the brats are just, that's one of my favorite things. The Dijon mustard, get that action going. The only one that comes close, or actually is probably a little bit better because I'm a Cajun at heart. My family comes from Louisiana, is NOLA. Okay. And when we go there, you got to go to New Orleans and get crawfish. It's got to be during crawfish season.
All right.
That's my favorite. So NOLA is probably the only one that tops this place as far as food goes. Yeah, I always look forward to brats.
All right. Well, we're wishing you best of luck this weekend. Look for you having fun out on the track. And look for you right back here at the end of the weekend getting that double
Sunday
brat.
Afternoon, yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.